Hello everybody, it's Captain Jonathan Klein, Commanding Officer of Naval Support Activity Hampton Roads. I'm here with episode number 18 of Q&A with the Captain, our weekly series of videos during the COVID pandemic to try to keep you informed about what's going on. So this week, just to start with, we're still in HPCon Charlie. The health protection condition hasn't changed. The medical intelligence we've received this week indicates that symptoms and new cases are actually trending in the right direction in the Hampton Roads area. We're tracking 15 localities, 15 different cities around the Hampton Roads, and it is generally trending in the right direction. However, HPCon Charlie, one of the statistics that was in the email I sent you last week, talks about the new cases per 100,000 population. The HPCon Charlie threshold is it has to be less than 50 new cases per 100,000. As of this week, 13 of those 15 cities are still above 50 cases per 100,000. And as a matter of fact, 8 of those cities are above 100 per 100,000 per week. So I think we still have a little ways to go before those numbers come down below that 50 and get us to HPCon Bravo. But the rest of the data is looking good. We are trending in the right direction. And so that's a pretty positive thing to see. And I think it's in large part due to the extraordinary effort of the people in this region and particularly our sailors and our families to make sure that we're doing the right things, wearing our masks, washing our hands, and staying employing the physical distancing measures to try to limit the spread. So I want to thank you for that, and I'll keep you updated as the data changes and as we get more information and maybe move towards a reduction in health protection condition. Today's second topic, and really our main topic, is school. So specifically it's our need to support our personnel within the NSA Hampton Roads family as we contemplate returning to school this year, but all of the schools in the Hampton Roads area are going to be conducting virtual instruction for the first quarter of the year at least. So just as I mentioned, I think COVID represents the greatest operational threat to our Navy, certainly in my lifetime. I think that it presents an equal threat to the education of our children. The quality of our education in this country, and really the broad access to education, has been foundational to our success, throughout the generations, and it's a community issue. And here at NSA Hampton Roads, we are the community for our coworkers, for our fellow sailors, and in these unprecedented times, I think it's going to take support from across our community of NSA Hampton Roads and sacrifice on behalf of each other to make sure that we can maintain continuity of the education of our children for their futures and our own future. So we're sort of navigating uncharted waters here, and I really need you all to keep in mind a couple of key points. One, you have to recognize the impact of virtual learning on the families, on the children, and on our workplace. And really also recognize the stress that's going to bring to the families and bring to our workplace. And finally, make adjustments on how we operate. So to understand the impact of virtual learning, I asked all of our personnel to complete a quick survey last week just to let us know what the impact of virtual schooling was going to be on them. So to give everybody an idea, this command has about 550 sailors and civilian employees right now. And based on that survey, 20% of our employees, one in every 5, about 110 people, project that they're going to be, or reported that they have school-aged kids. That's a pretty big impact to us, as you consider that kids are going to be home all day and be doing their virtual schooling. In about 2/3 of those families, they're dual-income families, both parents that traditionally work outside the home. And about 1/3 of those families have expressed concern that both parents are going to continue to be able to be employed outside the home because of the impact of having to be there to help support the education of their children. And there's another 1/3 of those that while maybe they don't foresee a job or financial impact, they are concerned about the ability to supervise those kids. I know in my own family, my sister-in-law's got 3 kids. Kindergarten, 1st grade, and 5th grade, and they just started school this week down in Texas, and it was quite a challenge to get them all online and engaged in their learning. So I think that as we move into this actual schedule of virtual learning, I think that those impacts might increase, and that we might see that we underestimated the impact on our working parents. So I want you to understand that. Now you can start thinking about the stressors. What stresses that impose on our families, and what stresses impose on our workplace and our staff. And I'd say there's multiple layers of that. There's financial stress. Maybe people need increased child care. They'll have to hire additional tutors or things like that to support. You're going to have to work how to balance your child's schooling with your work schedule, whether you're teleworking or remote working, if you're able to do that. And if you're not, how do you coordinate your schedule with your spouse's schedule to have the off time? What about our single parents? There's a lot of stressors that are going to really be present. And then think about the strain between spouses, the strain between parents and children, as parents take on the role of assisting more deeply in the education of their children than really what we've ever been asked to do before. So I think we're going to have to talk about these stressors. And Chaplain and I spoke last week about how we deal with the pandemic, and one of the ways to do that is that we allow people to talk about it. We encourage people to talk about it. We're going to have to help our friends and our coworkers plan for this virtual education environment. And I think share our successes and our frustrations along the way. Know that nobody's in this alone. And finally, go out of our way to help those who are struggling with it. This is, as I said, it's a community issue. And so this is not a problem for every parent to solve by themselves. This is a problem for all of us to pitch in together to help to get through. And lastly, I think we need to make adjustments. This has been a time of great transition for our workforce, teleworking and remote work and blue gold schedules and things like that. But I think that we're going to have to review all of that in light of the virtual learning environment we're engaging in. I think it also includes making sure we know what resources are out there. We've got Fleet and Family Service Centers for counseling support. We've got Military One Sources announced a new child care program. Tutor.com for military families, and I think it's been expanded to civilians as well, provides online tutoring resources. Just getting familiar with those things is a challenge, but I think it's part of all of our jobs to do that. The Naval Marine Corps Relief Society just announced a new loan program to support families with educational needs because of the virtual schooling. So getting familiar with those resources, not being afraid to reach out and use them, and looking at what we're doing, why and how in the workplace is going to be very important to adapting to this new environment and making sure that we help our children and our families be successful. So I think if we can adjust, recognize the impact of virtual learning, recognize those stressors and make those adjustments, I think we'll be able to better balance our work-life concerns, still be able to get the mission done, and we'll be able to be successful with our kids in their virtual learning environment. This is going to be a very challenging time. So I'm asking all of you, keep an eye out on your shipmates, look for those stressors, look for any kind of destructive behaviors that might pop up, because it really does impact our ability to get the job done every day, and it can have long-term impacts on families. So I wish I had a more uplifting message this week, but really I think back to what Chaplain and I talked about last week. This is something we have to talk about, something we have to face head on, and I do think we can have a positive outcome from this if we talk about it, if we come together as a family, and we support those who need the support right now. If you had asked me a year ago whether I believe that, if someone had told you, if you have kids, hey, next fall be ready to have your kids at home and have them sitting in front of a computer, and you're going to be the teacher's assistant, you're going to be the one who's responsible for the in-person portion of their education. Nobody would have believed that. So just this amazing, challenging time that we're in, unprecedented and almost unimaginable a year ago. We all have to be flexible. We all have to be, I think, giving in this time to support those families. So I thank everybody for that, and I thank you in advance. And please let me know if anybody out there needs support and there's any way that I can help. So that's all for this week. Until next time, wash your hands, wear your mask, and stay safe.